welcome to the Shelley Studio. Today I'm working on my scavenger hunt journal. I really want to get 2025 done and get my book filled, so that is my goal. I know I didn't finish it in time for the contest or whatever, but yeah, that's okay. I wasn't planning on announcing that I was done anyway in her group. And that is Janet M. Young. She does this every year, and it's a lot of fun. I just like creating the journal pages, trying to figure out how to use the prompts that she's given us. And the first prompt that I'm using on this particular page was, I think it was splats or splatters. I'm looking at my notes because I have them here somewhere. So bad. Oh yeah, so it was ink or paint splots. So I was using my acrylic inks that I've had forever, and the little droppers on them don't work very well, and I wasn't liking what I was getting. I tried like an iridescent one to begin with. You didn't see me do that one. I don't know why, but and then I decide I'm gonna kind of cover it up with like a really big inky splotty looking thing. And that just gets even messier. But, you know. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I'm not sure what day this will be because I'm still posting videos for my 100-day project. Oh, yes, the next prompt on this one was Pictionary drawing. And I thought I had a Pictionary game here, but must have ended up with one of the other siblings when my parents passed away and we divided everything up because I couldn't find the game. And I figured there was probably a drawing in there. I was just going to take it and glue it on. But there wasn't. So I Googled Pictionary and they had kind of little prompt cards. And I just looked at it and decided, oh, I'll use the snake. Because I can make him sort of the right colors to go with my weird brown paint splots. And he wouldn't be too difficult to draw. And I'm using just an old piece of paper because that's kind of what we usually end up using for our Pictionary game. When you run out of the paper pad that's on, included with the game, you just grab scraps of paper or a notebook. And I'm using my Sharpie Creative markers. These are the earth tones. I think is what this set's called. So they're kind of, like it's got a brown and kind of a muted green color. And so it's not the brights, which I'm having a lot of fun with my Sharpie Creative markers. And I saw somebody's video for Creativation and they're coming out with something. They're keeping it a secret, but they are coming out with something new. I don't know if it's putting these earth tones with a brush tip or another set of colors. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind more colors. I have not tried the brush tip. I just have the bullet tip in both of them. So yeah. So I'm adding my green. I don't know what type of snake this makes it. Diamondback. I don't know, it looks kind of friendly, so maybe he's non-lethal. And I didn't put any rattles on the end, so he's not a rattlesnake. I'm just outlining everything in pen. I know this isn't how you would do a Pictionary. It would just be a sketch. But I wanted to give my snake more color and life. I just did those kind of sketchy, not trying to follow my lines at all. There we go. And keeping the page kind of rumpled. And I'm going to glue him on and cover up most of that background that I don't like. I wanted to add a quote. I like adding quotes to my Scavenger pages. And I put, "Please don't let the snake out no matter what it tells you." My next prompt was doodle. So I added doodle to this page. And again, just using my Sharpie markers. Creative markers. I should call them creative markers because the creative markers are the ones that are acrylic paint. Just a Sharpie marker is just a regular marker. I don't know what the ink is in a regular Sharpie, but it's not paint. So I decided to put like snake-like doodle patterns around the edges. That's my doodling. And once I get that on there, I'm going to go around with some black and define it so you can see it over the crazy splattery business. And then I decided to give it some green, so I put green dots. I did end up going around with a white marker just to really emphasize that pattern so it would stand out more. And I almost forgot my bird. I have to put a bird on here. So the bird is going to be at the top of the page squawking down at the snake. And I'm just putting a little bit of the lighter color behind the bird so he stands out, hopefully stands out a little bit more so we can see him. And yeah, apparently you can blend that with your finger because that's what I did. I don't want to go too far with that, so I keep putting the bird there to make sure I get it all behind him. And out far enough for his tail. Then we're just going to glue him down. I go around him with a little bit of ink to outline him. It's because I felt like he still wasn't standing out enough. So I'll just take a pen and outline him. And that just creates a little bit. It's almost like shadowing, right? Alright, well there's that one. I'm going to do 2 more pages on this video today. So the next one is it had to be a blue and brown page. And so since I wanted to use this particular page, I decided I would just put some blue. It's kind of a tealy blue. And just craft paint. And I just used my fingers because I didn't have water in my room at the time, so I didn't want to get paint on a brush. So that is the whole reason why I didn't use a paintbrush. And I was too lazy to go get some water. So the other prompts that I use on this page were use crayons and circles. So I decided I would use my Neocolor 2 watercolor crayons, and I have this paper circle stencil, and we're just going to create some circles on here with the watercolor crayons. And I don't know what happened there. I edited that, so it moved and I was gone for a little while. I must have gotten up, bumped it. I don't know. But I'm just using brown shades to create the circles because it's a blue and brown page, right? And then once I've got the circles in there, I'm adding a lot more. I add a lot of crayon on this. I really want those to be opaque when I activate them. And instead of activating them with water, I'm going to activate them with matte medium. I have some Liquitex matte medium, and that will make them permanent. And hopefully, this is yellow ochre that I'm putting inside. And I have bumpy pages. Like, I've got a lot of stuff in this book. Pages are getting kind of bumpy. Hopefully I'm putting enough on there that the brown and the yellow ochre will blend nicely. And then to make them real spherical, I do go back in to the very center with a little bit of white. I think it's white that I use. But yeah, I want lots of color on here. But I did ask how you're doing, and I'm doing good. It's a nice day today. It's the weekend. Been doing some yard work. That's me putting the circles, the little white in the center, just to make it real spherical. And now I'm taking a brush and adding some matte medium to activate that. I like how that works with the Nail Color 2 crayons. I do that with, I think I do that with other water-based media sticks too. So once that's dry, I decided I want to emphasize those circles. So I'm just putting scribbly lines with a black marker. I think that's a Faber-Castell black marker. And then just decide that's all that's going on here. So I'm adding a quote and my bird. And I have a little book that has some quotes in it. And I found this one. A hunch is creativity trying to tell you something. I liked that one. And I picked this bird because he was brown. And I fussy cut him out. And before I fussy cutted him out, I didn't notice that his beaks looked really weird. Like, I mean, these are drawings. But yeah, that's how his beak really looked in the drawing. Anyways, that one was kind of quick, right? Not too bad. Making sure I get my corners glued down. They always seem to get away from me. And just one more for today in my scavenger hunt journal. This one, the prompts that I used for this one was butterfly, window envelope, and botanical. So I have this window envelope. It's got a really big window. And so I decided I would use distress oxides on it and add some color to it. But it's really super thin paper. This is like a cheap envelope. And so getting it wet makes it look dark. Well, and then I decided it's not colorful enough with just those, and go in with, I think this one's Vintage Photo. I think it's still light. Yeah. I'm wiping in between each thing so that I'm not contaminating my stamp pads. But I decided to spritz in some, I think it's walnut stain, and this really soaks in. This one changes the whole look. It gets really dark. I mean, it lightens up a little bit once it all dries. Oh, and I put another color. I think this is like wilted violet. It's a real pale color, trying to lighten it back up again. And I have to let it dry naturally, because if I put a heat tool to that, it would just crinkle up that window, and I want it to, you want to be able to see through it. I edged it a little bit with the fossilized amber, but it didn't, I mean, it's really hardly noticeable. And then I have this butterfly that I got from the dollar store. I have a whole bunch of them. Oh my gosh, they came in a pack of a billion, I swear. I fussy cutted one so it didn't have the white border, and then the butterfly doesn't look even on both sides. And it's not even on both sides, but I think the white border kind of helps it not be as noticeable. So I'm just leaving the white border on the rest of these butterflies. They're just going to have the border. Because there's no curing the lopsidedness of the butterflies. And all of them in that set, like there's multiple colors. Every one of them has a lopside. They're not evenly balanced. For like a store-bought man-made thing, you'd think they would make them even on both sides. I mean, I know, their butterflies might not be even on both sides in reality, but they're probably close. It's like my right and left arm, if you hold them up in the mirror. My triceps are not even on both sides. So maybe it goes the same way with butterflies. I don't know. So I added some of my doodle foliage fodder, whatever you call that stuff, that I did a while ago. I did a video on them. I'll link it, if I remember, in the description box below, so you can, if you're interested in how those were created. A lot of people create those, so it's not like an original thing. I was trying to decide also what bird, because I have to have a bird on there, but I had a larger bird there for a second. I didn't like it. So this quote is, "The way to love anything is to realize it might be lost." And then I see that's the bird. He doesn't stay, because he covers up the quote and he becomes another focal point, and I didn't want him to be. So I take one of my little doodled abstracty little birds and I'll put him on there. I add more foliage at the top. And then we'll add the little bird. And technically that is my page 19. Oh, I put a dragonfly up there too. So dragonfly at the top, a bright orange bird at the bottom, and then we have it all done. Well, did you like those pages? Which one do you like the best? I don't know, they're all kind of fun. That one is super busy. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Love to hear your comments. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.